Well, we can. We can talk about, what do you want to talk about?
We'll go.
Presidential, is presidential what it means?
Yeah, I think
We can do a quick presidential question. I just did it.
we are live now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the world of live streaming. My name is Frank McCaffrey. Welcome to the Americans for Limited Government podcast, and we've got a lot to talk about, including what looks like the tail end of the impeachment. So I'm here with Rick Manning, the ALG president. Rick, what is the next step for the Senate, assuming that the impeachment is put to rest by Lamar Alexander?
Well, the impeachment, hopefully tonight, the impeachment will be put to rest, that the witnesses will not be called, and we will have a vote to acquit this evening. What's next for the Senate is pretty straightforward. They're going to go back to confirming judges. There's more than 50 federal judge openings, and those openings need to be filled, and they need to get that job done. Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, has made it his mission to block those judges by obstructing and taking up House or Senate time on the floor, and he has used this impeachment, and he was using this call for witnesses as an attempt to really drag out a lot of Senate floor time and prevent the Senate from being able to do anything that they're supposed to do. So hopefully Senator McConnell will now work them 5 days from Monday through Friday to make up for lost time and get the judges put on the bench. And there's a couple of issues that matter. They're going to be dealing with the budget issues, obviously. They're going to be dealing with something called surprise medical billing, where it's really my hope that they won't accept the Democrat approach of one-size-fits-all pricing, which lays the groundwork for Bernie care, for Medicare for all, that Bernie Sanders advocates, lays the groundwork for that. And quite honestly, if they do it, it turns our health insurance system into our health care system, into a health insurance system, because the health insurers are pushing this so they can guarantee their prices while not having to negotiate with doctors and other providers, and denying those providers the capacity to make a living too. In California, where this was tried, the Bernie Care pricing model was tried. We've seen a massive decrease in number of healthcare providers because they simply can't afford to be in business with the health insurers driving what the rates that they can pay. So it becomes a real problem, and for those of us who want to be able to keep our doctor, still, if they go with one-size-fits-all pricing, that will become even more problematic than it was even during Obamacare.
Okay, so it's another victory, an apparent victory for the Republicans. You know, a lot of Republicans are kind of gloating. I saw that Rush Limbaugh was sort of saying, hey, we knew it all along. Do the Democrats now do anything to say, hey, we're sorry? Is there anyone there who gets in trouble in any way? Does Adam Schiff somehow get reprimanded, or do they just move on and pretend it never happened?
No, I predict that Adam Schiff actually then go back to the House, and he tries to call John Bolton to testify in front of the House Intelligence Committee. I think that Nancy Pelosi, they can't now say they're sorry. They are all in. So now they have to try to prove that they actually had something in the empty briefcase, rather than just the imaginings of a failed Hollywood scriptwriter named Adam Schiff. So that's that's what I think they're going to do. They're going to continue to quote unquote investigate, and there'll be likely be a court battle over executive privilege, or the House bringing the case, and it'll be a big fight about Bolton, because that they have to keep their base engaged, and losing and getting beaten doesn't help your base get engaged. What helps your base get engaged is when you keep fighting. So they will keep fighting. Impeachment won't go away entirely, but the House will at least be confined to the House as they fight legal battles to try to get various administration witnesses to testify about whatever imaginings Adam Schiff has about something that might have gone wrong over the White House.
Yeah, absolutely. Imaginings, it seems more and more like that, or taking something small and expanding it into something really big. And
the master of the mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. It's highly exaggerated And you got to be careful. Remember the boy who cried wolf. I mean, they've cried wolf a few times here, and it's really going to hurt the Democrats. Just another real quick question I saw on Drudge that there's a report Michael Bloomberg has already spent $100 million on bash Trump ads, and I looked at Real Clear Politics. He's got 8.2% of the Democratic vote, so he spent a lot of money for a very little amount of voters.
Why isn't bad? I'll tell you, Michael Bloomberg. Here's his play. It's very simple. He's going to spend $1 billion, maybe $2 billion in advertising. He's going to avoid all the messy primary debates. He's going to avoid any kind of need to engage with the other Democrats who are running for president. He's going to attempt to buy the presidency. He's going to attempt to buy the nomination, and he is going to be the beneficiary should Joe Biden's support continue to collapse. He will be where the old line kind of Democrats who are Democrat for life no matter what, but aren't communists. He's where they will flow to. They will go to Michael Bloomberg because he will be part of an anybody but Bernie effort at some point in this campaign, and so that's what he's investing his money for that outcome. Here's just the bottom line with Bloomberg. The Democratic voters who support Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, for that matter, are not going to be all that excited about switching their allegiance to a multi-billionaire who didn't participate in the democratic process and bought their primary. Bloomberg will have he won't be able to bring the Democratic base where all the actual energy is around into his campaign. So even if he beats Bernie Sanders in some weird set of events, he will end up, it will be a Pyrrhic victory because the Bernie Sanders supporters will not vote for Michael Bloomberg.
No.
They would rather burn down their cities than vote for Michael Bloomberg.
Yeah, Bernie seems to be the guy who's picking up the momentum, and it looks like if I'm a betting man, I'll say the Democrats are going to have to eventually just say, okay, he's our guy. We're going to get behind him, like it or not. And
kind of though, this is their dilemma. Okay, this is really fun, Frank, because Bernie Sanders is a true believer in terms of taking away the means of production. So all the Wall Street funders aren't going to be able to fund him. The guys out in Silicon Valley, you know what they're not going to be able to do? Fund Bernie Sanders and help Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders would take their toys away from them. Okay, you know who else is going to be able to help him? You know, all those farmers in Minnesota, dairy farmers, all those iron workers and iron ore miners in Minnesota, all those automakers in Michigan, all those workers in Michigan, because he doesn't agree with the internal combustion engine and wants to eliminate basically automobiles and individual ownership of automobiles. He also wants to eliminate dairy cows because of flatulence, which means he doesn't win Wisconsin. He doesn't win Pennsylvania because he wants to eliminate fossil fuel development. And Pennsylvania has been revived economically because of fossil fuel development. The problem that Bernie Sanders has is every single thing he hates is what fuel America's economy, and he will be roundly rejected. And the Democrats who have to shift to him will have to shift to somebody who is an acknowledged communist.
Yeah.
Who spent his honeymoon in Moscow when it was the USSR, not the new kinder, gentler Putin dictatorship. No, this was when it was the USSR. We were talking about somebody in Bernie Sanders who came out and was in favor of the Iranian hostage takers in 1979. So they will be so far out of the mainstream, but they cannot support Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders' nomination is devastating for the Democratic Party, and it will create a political realignment in this country that will last for 20 years.
Yeah, well, there's also a lot of people who say that he'll get votes simply because he's not Trump. But yeah, that protest vote never seems to put people over the edge. It looks to me like Trump gets reelected, beating Bernie Sanders.
There's about 45% of people who will vote for anybody against Trump. But I believe we can even separate those people out because because what they can say over the last 4 years is Trump hasn't tried to destroy the country. And when they look at their own check pocketbooks, they look at the fact they've got jobs, they look at all those things, they'll say, I don't like Trump, but Sanders is crazy. And ultimately, a lot of people are going to go and they're going to either not vote because of that, which is disastrous for the Democrats down ballot, or they're going to vote, say, I have to vote for Trump because Sanders is crazy. And oh, by the way, I'm going to vote against all those people who try to throw Donald Trump out of office, which is how impeachment comes back around and will end up being a big, gigantic political disaster for the Democrats in Congress and will help the Republicans, even though they didn't, Republicans in Congress fought, but they didn't really get the same face ID as Adam Schiff did, much to the dismay of anybody else who wants to run for Senate in California when Dianne Feinstein retires.
Okay, now real quick because we have to wrap up soon today. I'm going to say Kansas City Chiefs 30, San Francisco 49ers 7. Your prediction?
Kansas City 45, San Francisco 12.
Okay. I wrote this down. We'll see when we talk on Monday. Again, always a pleasure, Rick Manning, and a big victory day, apparent victory day for the Republicans. Thanks to a former presidential candidate who was not taken seriously, Lamar Alexander. Do you remember when he ran in I believe it was 96 and 2000, was it?
Lamar Alexander ran, and I'm very glad that he did win. Today is likely he's going to vote against witnesses, and his statement makes it clear that he doesn't believe the House ever came up with an impeachable case from the outset, and any additional witnesses would just continue to waste people's time. So, and I think that's pretty much the view of most of the country, that this has been a waste of time. It's time for Congress to get back to work, back to the business of the people.
Absolutely, yeah. 2/3 vote, is that what they need to get an impeachment? It doesn't look like
7 votes to get impeachment, and I think it's likely that they will have a bipartisan vote for acquittal.
It could very well be the case. That could very well. This is another weak, feeble, failed political hit job by the Democrats, and Trump rides again.
Yeah, it's amazing how the Democrats, get down to it, come here, do your job. Your job isn't to try to overthrow the government. Your job isn't to make a coup. Your job is to do your job, pass legislation that we end up fighting over. I don't agree with virtually anything the Democrats are trying to pass, but that's what they're supposed to be doing. Oversight, absolutely. Have oversight over the agencies. But just to come up and spend all your time trying to impeach Trump, as a number of the freshmen promised they would do, has been a disastrous waste of time of the country. And most importantly, it's harmful to the country. We need to come together around common principles, and trying to run a coup against the President of the United States is not a way to come together.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Rick. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend.